How effective was Rebecca Kuang's writing routine for a PhD student? Good morning, friends. It is the first day of my Writing Like Rebecca Kuang challenge. This morning I'm up at 4:30. I've been trying to change my sleep schedule so that way I have some hours in the morning undisturbed where I can work on my writing. And today I'm actually going to be working on an article I'm trying to get published. So this is a piece that I wrote back in undergrad and have revised tons of times in the interim, and I need to get it published because it is a piece that I'm really proud of, but I am really nervous about, and there are some revisions that need to be made, and I want to use this challenge in order to get this piece done so that way I can send it off. I've given myself a deadline because I've submitted it to a writing group or a working group so that way people will read it and give me feedback so I can incorporate that and send it off one last time to my advisor and then send it for peer review. We still got a ways to go, however, and I want to make some really serious changes, especially to the introduction. So I am going to be using this morning and Rebecca Kuang's writing routine in order to get started. One thing I noticed about Rebecca Kuang's writing routine is that she spends a lot of time reading before she actually gets to writing. This morning, I'm actually going to go and look at the most recent literature on the subject. The article is about freedom seekers, those that fled from slavery in Virginia during the American Revolution. They fled to the British, and I have not really kept up with the recent literature on the subject just because my dissertation research is a little bit different. And so I'm going to go see what's recently been published and get to reading. Rebecca reads about 200 pages to begin. With academic writing, because it's so dense, I'm going to say that I'm going to read about half of that. So I'm going to read about 100 pages. So I'm going to say that's about 3-ish articles. I also have this book that I've been working through that I think is going to be really helpful. And so it is time to get reading and then to get writing. This method of starting with reading before moving on to writing is so helpful. I haven't really focused on doing much reading beyond the actual research that I needed to do, but because Rebecca Kuang basically says that she uses it as a way to inspire her and her characters and to think about sentence structure and to think about the actual writing quality, I decided to take a slightly different approach. So I started this morning by looking for relevant literature that's been published over the last couple of years and just wasn't finding very much because the last time that I worked on this really heavily was back in 2021. And then before that, I worked on the bulk of this project when I was in undergrad in 2019. And there hasn't honestly been a whole lot of literature that's been published in the interim. So I didn't have a whole lot to go off of. And so instead of focusing on the kind of research requirements, I instead shifted gears and started thinking a bit more about writing style. And one of the books that I recently picked up was this book by Newman. And this is Freedom Seekers Escaping from Slavery in Restoration London. And the introduction focuses on this figure named Ben, which is the subject of a runaway slave ad. And he writes this narrative about how Ben would have experienced Restoration London. And there's a bit of a debate about the practice of kind of speculating when we have very little evidence. And I side a bit with Marisa, Fuentes, and Saidiya Hartman, which is to do so in a way that is very cognizant of your own positionality and not necessarily writing a redemption story, especially for those that we have very little evidence of what their lives were actually like, but trying to instead think about the world that existed around them and trying to describe that. And so I was taking that, and I remembered that there was a book that I had read a little while ago that was a novel about a woman who flees from slavery in Puerto Rico. And so I found it on my bookshelf. This is A Woman of Endurance. And I just remember the author writing the first scene really beautifully of her escaping from slavery. And so I was just going in and just reading just for inspiration, and suddenly the words started flowing. So there is some magic in the way that Rebecca Kuang goes about her writing, even if you're not working on a novel. I am now going to go ahead and crack open the document and start working on the actual writing. I did not read 100 pages, however, I do feel like I got some reading done that is inspirational, that'll help me get into the flow of things. Now for a minute to talk about the sponsor of today's video, which is none other than Ana Luisa. You've heard me talk about Ana Luisa a bunch because I've been working with them for over 2 years now. I absolutely love their team. I love the pieces that I get sent, and I have some special favorites that I've been wearing recently that I want to share with you. Here's the thing. I'm a creature of habit. I really like wearing the same pieces every day, but love getting to incorporate some new things in my collection. So some of these things you might have seen before, and some of them are new, and I can't wait to share them. So first and foremost, we have my Chloe ring. It has the same name as my best friend and is one of my favorite pieces of my collection. I wear this every single day. I love it so much that I actually lost this ring when I was moving from New Haven and asked if Ana Luisa would be willing to send me a second one because I absolutely love it. I always wear it on my index finger. And then on my ring finger, I have their little crescent ring. This one is so beautiful. It's dainty, but it just adds a little extra flair, and I think it's beautiful. On my left hand, I have this little heart ring. This sounds really strange, but I really like watching the clips when I'm typing on my computer because I like the look of the rings and everything. I'm a lady who loves aesthetics, okay? Then I have my little bracelet that I wear every single day. It's been on my wrist for well over a year now. And this week I've been trying on some new necklaces. I'm going to show you some of my favorites that I've been wearing. So first we have this little pendant. I love this one. And then I have this little dainty heart necklace, and it's one of my favorite pieces to wear. But Ana Luisa is a sustainably sourced carbon neutral company based in New York that makes the most beautiful jewelry pieces. They add new pieces to their collection every once in a while, so there's constantly new styles that you can try out, and they're currently running a promotion for Black Friday. So if you're looking to gift some pieces for your friends, your family, your mom, your partner's family, whatever it may be. So if you're interested in checking it out, then the link will be in the description below along with my discount code. Thank you again so much to Ana Luisa for sponsoring this video. Now let's get back into trying this writing routine. It is about 8:30 a.m. now, and I am reworking the entire introduction for this article. It is coming along. I am writing in a style I'm not particularly familiar with. I write fiction and I write academic scholarship, and trying to find a way to work in the in-between where you're trying to speculate and trying to imagine the spaces that don't exist within the documentary record, and writing about people whose experiences have been obscured by the documentary record is a little bit different for me, and I am just playing around with it. I'm very curious what the feedback is going to be from the working group that I'm going to present this at. I think it can go a variety of ways. I find that the Black studies community, the area studies community, gender studies, etc., tend to be a little bit more welcoming to this method of writing, whereas historians tend to be quite traditional in the way that they approach writing. in that they prefer for you to write through the documents. But as someone who studies slavery and who studies specifically women and children, that just doesn't leave very much room for consideration. So I'll read you the footnote just so that way you get a little glimpse into it. I said, the speculative narrative of Rachel Herbert's experience fleeing the home of her enslaver alongside her mother Hester is imagined. Building on the documentary and visual records of Virginia during the American Revolution, however, may alert readers to the harsh realities of what seeking freedom from the British, there's a grammatical error, we're just going to pretend that that's not there, may alert readers to the harsh realities of what seeking freedom with the British meant for formerly enslaved and free Black individuals and their families. Rachel's life before 1783 remains largely absent from the documentary record. Inspired by the imaginative and speculative work of numerous scholars, however, we have the opportunity to see beyond the evacuation record, census, or farm book, to see instead the lives, communities, and experiences they have obscured. And then I cite Marisa Fuentes, the book by Newman I was showing you earlier, the pieces by Saidiya Hartman. So we've got Lose Your Mother, as well as the article Venus in Two Acts. And then I also cited Tiya Miles' book, which I absolutely love. I highly recommend it. I'm going to have all of these citations in the description, so if you want to go check it out. Most libraries have these in digital copies, so you can probably access it if you're a student, but you can also look these pieces up online in case you want to support the historians by purchasing their book. And I highly recommend purchasing it from a university press if you can, instead of buying it from Amazon, just because if I'm remembering correctly that they get a higher percentage if you go directly from the university press. I might be making that up, but I vaguely remember somebody saying that when I was at a conference a couple of years ago. Anywho, it's coming along. I am feeling very drained, however. I had breakfast and I'm just feeling like I need a little bit more sleep. So I'm going to listen to my body. I'm going to go back to sleep for a little while. And then I have quite a bit of work I need to do this afternoon, both on this article as well as my clients' documents. I have a couple remaining graduate admissions clients, and I'm just ending my time running Accepted by helping them with their application. So I need to give them my full attention later today. So I'm going to go take a little power nap and get back to it in a bit. Break. I am back at my desk. It's already dark out again at like 4 in the afternoon, but I actually have a networking call with one of the Yale alumni. The Yale Alumni Association basically puts on this mentor program, and I signed up because I figured, you know, if Yale's going to give me resources, I damn well am going to use them. So I am going on my networking call, and then I'm going to do a little bit more work this evening and try to get to bed early again, so that way I can get up early and write again tomorrow. So it's been a good day. I just feel like a little brain fog. I'm just feeling like I needed more sleep last night, but I am getting back into the swing of it. We're gonna go ahead and jump on this networking call and then get back to work. It is day 2 of trying Rebecca Kuang's writing routine, which means that I'm actually going to be starting with reading again today, and I'm going back to the same 2 books that I was looking at yesterday. We've got Newman's Freedom Seekers, and we've got A Woman of Endurance. So I'm going to go ahead and just read. I am not going to read necessarily 100 or 200 pages, just because I do have a lot of writing I do need to get done today, And I'm assuming when Rebecca Kuang had heavy writing days that she wasn't reading as much as she says in her interviews, but I can't be certain. But I just have a lot of ideas that I'm ready and excited to put down on paper. I didn't wake up as early this morning because I stayed up a little too late reading last night. I had an alarm at 6 this morning instead of at 4:30. I just felt like I needed a little extra sleep, and my body is definitely thanking me for it. So I'm gonna go ahead, sip my tea, read my books, and then get to writing. Once again, I'm reminded of just how great this writing routine is, because yesterday, as I was saying, as I was reading, I was getting more ideas, and I was using my dissertation notebook in order to write down my notes. And today I had this inclination that I just wanted to start writing, felt, energized, I had a good night of sleep, and I was just gonna jump straight into it. But I'm really glad that I started reading first, because I even just got to the first page of this book. I had started reading this a while ago, but I'm restarting the book because the first chapter focuses on her actually fleeing, and I wanted to see how it is that the author went about writing that process. And it's interesting because I was reading this, and then all of a sudden I had this idea that I needed to focus on weather and temperature and soil texture and things that would have been noticeable and things that would have been experienced, because a lot of what I was focusing on was like scenery. So I was thinking about one of the primary senses, which is sight, but I really need to focus on things like hearing and what it smells like and what it sounds like and what it feels like. And I wouldn't have thought of that in terms of how to focus on my narrative had I not gone and done some reading. I'm really glad that I'm following this process, because this is actually really helpful. So I'm just writing down some notes because I originally didn't have my notebook out, but I'm just writing down a couple of notes here as I'm going along, and I'm just gonna keep on going. But I just wanted to update you because I'm really glad that I started reading. mystery package in the mail, and I have a feeling I know what it is, but this isn't something that I ordered. Scissors acquired. The tip off of what I think this package is because of the packaging that's used. Oh yeah. We've got a golden coil package. I love golden coil. This is my planner. This is my notebook. I have had golden coil planners basically since I started my PhD, and I'm obsessed with them because they make custom planners. They are a bit pricey, but the thing is that they're just such high quality, and because they're customizable, I just think that they are the best possible planner that you can buy. And in addition to that, it's a small business. It's owned by two sisters living in Utah, and I love them. They've been so good to me as a creator. I love their content. I've been posting about their planners before I even talk to them, and I just think that they're wonderful. So they have this little planning sheet. This is so cute and so perfect. Also, golden coil has the best paper, and I will die on this hill. They have the best paper of any planner that I have tried. And so this is a little desk notebook. We've got another little notebook in the most beautiful green color. Look at that, like sea foam green color. And it's lined. This is so perfect. This is going to be ideal for just jotting down ideas as I'm working on articles, dissertations, all of that. And some like watercolor pens. Look at these. That's so cool. Thank you so much to Golden Coil, Trish and Michelle. I'm gonna have their links and everything down below. This isn't a sponsored video. This is just, I love them. I have been gifted products from them before, but I have paid for Golden Coil planners and notebooks and whatnot with my own money over the years. I think they're well worth it, especially if you are somebody that loves using planners and obsessed. All right, now it is actually time to get back to work, and I am feeling so distractible today. I have been struggling a little bit with focus the last while, and I don't think there's any particular reason for it. I just have been struggling a little bit. And so I am going to do my fail-proof focus system, which is I got a cup of coffee. I silenced all of the notifications and closed all of the applications on my phone using the Opal app. I have an ambiance playlist set up for YouTube, and I'm going to join one of the Accepted Society study sessions. Anytime I like really need to get my ish together, the study sessions are what helps me get back on track, because I know that there are other people that are studying, and so I should be studying. But I need to get work done, so I'm gonna go ahead and dive right back in, and let's see how much of this article I can get done today. I really want to redo the entire introduction by the end of today. So let's see if I can make that happen. Time to get a PhD? Oh. I'm trying to say it's not time for dinner. You have dinner in like an hour and a half. I love you. So cute. Do you know how cute you are? Wishif. Do you know how many people on the internet know who you are? Like thousands. Isn't that wild? I think they watch my videos because of you. They don't care about my life, they care about your life. Because you're the best little scholar pup in the whole world. Yes. Day 3 of trying Rebecca Kuang's writing routine, and I'm gonna be straight with you. I barely got any writing done yesterday. I just had so much other work that it kind of took over. But today and tomorrow are dedicated to this article, and because I didn't actually do any writing yesterday, I'm actually going to go ahead and dive right into that. And then this afternoon I am going to do the reading first and then the writing. I just didn't do any writing yesterday, so I'm going to do it this morning and then do her actual routine this afternoon, which feels a little backward. I feel like I'm not doing this right, but it just so happens that trying to do somebody's writing routine while also owning a consulting business and making content and also having PhD stuff administratively that I have to do is just a tad challenging. But I know she probably does it too, because she's not only writing novels, but she's also in a PhD program, so who am I to complain? I just didn't get any writing done yesterday and I feel really guilty about it, so I'm gonna go ahead and dive straight into it based on what I read yesterday and see what we can manage to get done. I am so happy. I've had such a good little writing session this morning. I've been working on the introduction for my article, and I am working on this narrative about this woman named Rachel Herbert. So Rachel Herbert fled from Newman County in 1779, and she is listed in the Birchtown Muster in Nova Scotia as a free Black woman living with her husband, Willis Herbert. Now, Willis Herbert is listed in this evacuation record as having fled in the same year, but from a different county. So I don't know whether they had a relationship prior to joining the British. However, for this particular instance, I am assuming that they did know each other, because I'm trying to find a way to discuss how it is that Rachel ended up finding where the British were located. The entire article really hinges on two main ideas, and if you want to know more about it, I actually gave a conference presentation on it years ago, and so the entire presentation will be linked below if you want to go watch it. But essentially the article makes two primary arguments, which is that freedom seekers used moments of turmoil within the war to flee, And secondly, that they use this as an opportunity to reunite with their families. Rachel escapes from Nansemond County in 1779, and at the time, at least in the summer of 1779, the British are near Portsmouth, Suffolk, so in the southeastern region of Virginia. Then she is found in this evacuation record in 1783 as having had a 3-month-old daughter. So she has a daughter that was born within British lines. I am currently just working on the footnotes, trying to essentially justify why I've made this methodological decision to add this piece at the beginning that's a bit more speculative. And the reason I'm doing it is because I think it adds a layer of humanity. I think sometimes, especially with numbers and with looking at things like evacuation records, it's difficult to imagine the people beyond it because you get just a short blurb about who they are and where they came from. And so what I'm trying to do with this article is really draw out a couple of these individuals within this record and talk a little bit about where they came from and how it is that they came to be with the British, and also talk about all of the many people that did not make it into the evacuation record, that did not make it to New York and were either re-enslaved or those who succumbed to disease during the war because things like smallpox were rampant. And this is very different than my dissertation research, as I'm sure you can guess, but these social histories are something I always have cared about, and it's something that I think is really important, and I really love the way that authors like Simon Newman, Marisa Fuentes, Saidiya Hartman, Tiya, the way that they use speculative history through the archival materials, through actual like physical materials in order to tell these stories. And so that's what I'm working on. But it is now the morning, the sun has risen, and it is time to get ready for the day. I have an appointment in town, so I'm gonna go ahead and get dressed and get ready to take Moo outside and to head into town, and I will catch up with you all later. I just got back from my trip into town to go for a massage appointment, and it was magical. My back has been killing me recently, and a gifted massage was not going to get turned down. It was so wonderful. I highly recommend going there. The woman I worked with was just so good. I've gone to so many different massage therapists. My mom actually used to do massage therapy and cranial sacral work, so I'm kind of picky, but she did a great job, especially with my neck and my shoulders. But now I'm back home, and I was gonna film, but I'm just feeling like today is a potato day. So I have days every once in a while where I just don't want to get dressed and don't want to put on makeup and do anything but do my work, and today is one of those days. So I'm going to get some video editing done, and then I'm gonna go back to writing. I was having such a good writing session this morning, and I did so much reading on the tube this morning and sitting at a coffee shop that I somehow managed to read over 100 pages of the 4th ACOTAR book. So I'm reading A Court of Frost and Starlight. I'm basically almost done with it. Now I need to actually do reading that's related to my research, but it's been a good day. I started off the day by doing some good writing. I read a lot on the train. I got a massage. I feel like this is the extra decadent type of day, but I have so much work to get done still. So I'm gonna go back to it and take you along as we continue trying Rebecca Kuang's writing routine. effective was Rebecca Kuang's writing routine for a PhD student? Well, this week, as you saw, I worked on my article, and last night I got a bunch of words on paper. I am really happy with the way that my footnotes are coming along, and I would say that that is largely due to the inspiration of the things that I was reading. I had a couple of articles that I was going through, but I was mostly focused on Freedom Seekers and A Woman of Endurance, which is both an academic monograph and a historical fiction. I think it's so valuable for academics to read fiction works, and also for those of us that are lovers of fiction to also engage with academic monographs. I think that the writing style of academics has improved significantly, especially in the case of Simon Newman, and we've begun incorporating methods that allow for us to think a little bit more in the style of narrative and to speculate about the subjects that we are encountering in the archive. Now, this is done with a sense of care and ethics, and I put a lot of that work into my footnotes in order to make a statement about why I was making certain decisions. And this is something that I've seen done by incredible historians. And then the benefit of reading historical fiction, like A Woman of Endurance by Dalma Llanos Figueroa, is that we begin to think a little bit more creatively about the actual style of our writing, the flow of our writing, the way that we're telling these stories, because if you're in school, I'm sure that you've read many an academic article that's a bit dry, and as a PhD student, I have read plenty that are not as gripping. And in the past couple of months, I've really been focused on spending time reading fiction, enjoying fiction, and it has had a really serious impact on the way that I now view my work as a historian. And I think that that's a good thing. So I personally think that this process of really focusing on reading, but reading more for style, not necessarily just for information, is something that we should all incorporate in the way that we begin doing our work. Now, one thing I'm going to say is that starting off the day with 100 or 200 pages of reading sometimes really disrupted my own flow. And when I would get up in the morning, sometimes I really wanted to just immediately get into the document and just start writing, because I think about writing before I go to sleep. I think about it when I wake up. I am just constantly mulling over what kind of words that I want to use, and I'm just finding that with this routine of starting with reading, I feel like it's disrupting that flow a little bit. And so the way I would modify this is trying to incorporate more time for reading and reading for style. But if you're in a bit of a flow state, if you're in a bit of a space where you do want to dive right in, allowing yourself the space to do so. I'm very curious about trying this routine for writing fiction rather than working on a nonfiction project. Please leave any recommendations for writing routines you'd like to see me try for working on my dissertation, but also that you would like to see me use for working on my novel. And thank you all so much for watching, and thank you to Ana Luisa for partnering with me again on this video. They are running a Black Friday sale, and this is the jewelry company that I wear every single day. I absolutely love the pieces, but even more so, I really love working with their team. I just think it's such a great company, and is one that you should definitely check out if you're looking to find things as gifts or to get yourself with a little something special. So I'm gonna have the link in the description down below. Thank you all so much for watching, and I will see you all in the next video. Bye everyone.